In this video, you will learn how to build a windmill diorama.
Hello and welcome to a video tutorial in which we will build a windmill diorama. Yeah, this is the prototype is found on a Swedish island called Öland. Looks like this. And the video here is sponsored by Sunlu. We're going to try out their new red wax 14K resolution resin to print the windmills and all the other details used in the diorama. I'm putting up a link to where you can find the resin and also browse among Sunlu's other products. And by that, we're kicking off the build.
The resin from Sunlu comes in paper boxes, and these boxes do not only contain the resin itself but also filters. This is very good because in most cases you have to buy these separate. The bottle comes in a bubble wrap bag, and on the bottle you can read the parameters needed for the settings of your 3D printer. This is also a very nice and simple feature, otherwise you have to download data sheets to understand those settings. So we're filling up the printer here with this red wax, and as you can see, the pigment is very rich. And once it comes out of the printer, well, I can only say this is a really nice resin. The pigment prevents light bleed and the detail is just fantastic. This is truly 14K resolution. Nicely priced and also not all that brittle, which 14K resins otherwise can be. After post-curing these, we have to prime them, and for that I'm using Tamiya Surface Primer Grey. There is a tight design fit between the parts of this windmill, so if you, like here, I've been overexposing somewhat and then adding primer on top of that, well, then you might need to file some excess material away before you get that perfect fit. Now the propeller is assembled. Now we can continue with the floor of the windmill. So we assemble that to the foot, and same here. This one didn't need to be grinded or filed, just turned a few times and then the friction held fit was there. The floor is assembled into the main building on these standoffs. All glue used here is fast set glue, so I wetten the edges of the floor in fast set glue and then I push it in place inside the main building walls. Now see, you can turn this one and it's well, looks good. And like with most 3D printed kits, there are not too many parts to assemble. Assembly goes quite quick. So the leather and the turning rod and then just a roof here. The horse wagon prints in one piece, so all you need to do with that is to prime it and paint it into the desired color. And talking about colors, this windmill now is just in the original, I would say, primer gray color. What we need to do, since it's mainly black and white, but it's made of wood in real life, is to add some white dry brush. So what you do then is that you dip the paintbrush into white acrylic paint, then wipe most of the paint off on a piece of paper, and then apply the rest of the paint onto the contours of the windmill. There is one piece that needs to be painted in kind of corrosion brown color, and that is the hinges for the door. But like with all unpainted wood, it becomes black due to growth on the wood surface. We're gonna achieve that using black acrylic paint. So I'm putting some paint here and then I'm thinning it with twice as much water as paint. This type of blend is called wash. I apply the wash over the entire windmill using a wide round brush like this, but then the paint will go into corners and edges by the physics of the nature, and much end up in the same place where you will find the growth, the fungus and whatever's on the surface of the windmill. Whilst that drying, we will start on the ground for this diorama. I'm working with an XPS board. It's a styrofoam board. It's almost impossible to take realistic photos of a flat surface, so what we need is some curvature. And I'm starting to cut off the edges with a hobby knife, and after that it looks like this. Another thing with the XPS board is that the surface is kind of glossy and not much sticks to it, so I'm using a 120 grit sanding paper and then matting the entire surface all around of the diorama. Now these windmills were located on a long hill, so we will add some material on top of this styrofoam board. The material I will use is kind of joint putty, which I found in the DIY store. These type of putties are also available from the model manufacturers, but they're typically more costly and do the same work, so I prefer this. This material is called husfix in my area, but it's a concrete-based putty to fill large holes and cracks in walls without shrinking or cracking, so it's an excellent material to work with. Only thing, since it's concrete-based, is that it's a bit corrosive, so use gloves. So here we will have the windmills. Now I've covered the entire surface with the putty. Now I'm adding this on, say, hill where the windmills will be placed. And in this elevated surface we will also add flat surfaces where we can place the windmills. Now leave the putty for 24 hours, then we can sand the edges off and make a more soft curvature of the putty. And with the surface nice and smooth, we're ready to paint it. Painting is made using acrylic paints, and I typically use brown shades for ground. Not much of the original paint we put on this surface will actually be visible in the final diorama, since we will add multiple layers of different materials on top. But it's very important that the material, the ground here is not white, because that will shine through, of course, so any darker type color is nice. I also like to wet mix some black into it, so I get some artificial shadowing or shading. So at the edge of the hill here I blend in a portion of black into the wet brown paint, and then I get a kind of, I said, an artificial shadowing which kind of marks the position of this hill. Once that paint has dried, the first thing I do is adding turf, and the turf needs to stick to the ground, and for that I'm using either PVA glue, which is wood glue, or in this case I use Noch static grass glue, which dries matte and transparent, which is a very good thing. The first type of turf I will use is Woodland Scenic Earth Blend. I put them into this type of spice containers. Makes it very easy to apply. And then I put it into all the wet glue here, like this. And when I feel happy with the application, I use a round soft brush and stipple on top of the turf. This serves two purposes. One, it pushes the turf into the glue so it sticks properly, but it also removes the powdery look. Next layer of turf is yellow grass, T43 from Woodland Scenic. On this hill it's very dry because it's windy all the time and most of the grass actually dies. So it's mostly brown or yellowish brown. So this is what it looks like after a second layer of turf. Now we're ready to add some grass. And we're starting off with the short yellowish, well, grayish grass. This is a 2.5 millimeter static grass, and I applied using a static grass applicator. So all the small straws of grass fly to the surface and lands standing in the glue. So leave this now to dry properly before adding next layer of grass. Otherwise the other grass, which we are to apply now, will stick into the old glue, and well, it will all be a mess. As you see here, I'm applying turfs, or actually spots of grass glue. And then to make turfs, we need to apply really richly with grass. And for this, I'm using 6mm yellow, gold yellow grass. A trick, if you are not happy with the turfs, that they are more lying down than standing up, you can use a vacuum cleaner to raise the grass before the glue dries. So then you get a better look of your turf. Plus, you get rid of excess grass which lies on the diorama. Now, the last grass we're applying here now is the green grass, which is located in the shadows of the windmills. Now, we can place the windmills where they should be. I glued them in place using fast set glue and support that with accelerator spray. And they kind of stand in a line like this. You have to allow for sufficient clearing between them so you can turn them around. All right, now around these there are some trees, small trees and bushes. In this package from Noch, which is branded as nature trees, we find seafoam, which is the name of this plant. All we need to do with this one is to paint it and then add the Noch middle green leaves to the branches, and they stick there using spray glue. And then we just make holes in the diorama and stick a number of branches in. And well, when ready, it will look like this. So now you can see the tufts of grass, and also you have a nice appearance of these small trees. Now, if you like, you can also motorize the propellers of these windmills, but I prefer not to have them movable, but just standing like this.
All right, turned out pretty nicely, didn't it? If you're ever in Sweden and visit this island, Öland, go to Resmo and check out the prototype, the 3 windmills standing there in a row, which I've used when designing these 3D models. Talking about 3D models, if you're interested in building one of these and you have a 3D printer or about to get one, I'm putting up a link to the 3D model set on CG Trader, the windmill diorama set. If you like the information provided here on the channel, please consider to support the channel, because this is a kind of niche interest. We do not gather enough view counts on YouTube to fund the cost of the channel. So we're really dependent on the patrons supporting the channel. So get over to Patreon, set up a support account there from $1-2 per month, or why not join the $20 level, and you also get a Discord channel, talking with other patrons on that level, and with me asking any questions, whatever comes to mind at any time. So there you have the entire range from $1 to $20. So see you on Patreon. If you're not into becoming members on Patreon, you can make a one-off donation by using the PayPal dialog found in the video description below. And if you're not yet a subscriber, subscribe. Enable that little bell and you will get a notification once next video gets published. Until that happens, see you!